Hey, so in this video, really quick, I'm going to be running through how to set up the lightsaber on your avatar, just like the general setup itself. So we're going to assume you've already imported the package into your project, and you'll just want to go down to the folder down here labeled Wolfie_527. And when you go in here, you'll see Saber, and then you'll want to grab the lightsaber. This is the prefab here. You'll just drag and drop this onto your avatar's base here, and it'll just be placed here on the base. You'll right click it, unpack prefab completely. Now, what we're going to want to do is make sure that everything is positioned correctly on your avatar, and we have some constraints to drop onto it. So what we'll do is we'll open up our armature, and so I have it opened up down through spine to my right shoulder, and then down to my right wrist. And what you'll want to do, if depending on if you're doing a left or right hand, is you'll want to grab the hand constraint and drop this onto your right hand location. So here. And then you'll want to zero this out if you haven't already. Now I have mine set up specifically to how I want my avatar set up, but you'd come up here to the hand constraint and you would zero all of these out so that it's on your wrist. And then you would end up rotating this and setting this up how you want it, which I'll show you in just a second here. You'll want to grab your elbow constraint and you'll drop this onto your elbow, depending on if it's right or left. And you'll want to also zero this out. And then you'll want to grab your holster constraint, and depending on where you want your holster, you will drop it onto that body part. So I have mine on my hip, so I drag and drop my holster constraint onto my hips so that it follows my hips. Now, we have this set up. What we're going to want to do is go to the lightsaber and click on lightsaber here, not the first one, but the one further down just under Saber container. You'll turn on the mesh renderer, and since this will be zeroed out on your hip, it'll likely be inside of the center of your avatar. What you'll want to do once you turn it on here is you'll want to click holster constraint and move this around so that you can position this in the way that you want. Now, sorry, I pressed F here to center on it. So if you press W, it'll bring up these arrows when you have this selected so you can move it around. If you press E, it'll make it so that you can rotate it and you can move this around how you want it. And so just position your holster constraint how you want it here for your lightsaber to look. And then if you also need to scale your lightsaber, what you'll want to do is click on the lightsaber itself here, and you'll press R. And when you press R, you can click the center gray square, and it'll scale everything evenly together here. And so you'll want to scale this how you want it to look on your avatar. Get it to a size that you like. Once you do that, you'll want to come down here to the Saber blade and hum and just turn this on really quick. And what this does is this has the light and some other stuff under it. You want to click on the blade color and the blade enter here. And if you've had to scale this, then what's going to happen is this might be too small. If you had to scale up the lightsaber, then this might be too small for your avatar. And so what you want to do is just scale it up to fit inside of your lightsaber. And you'll know that it fits proportionally if you click on blade contacts and you have your gizmos on. You'll see the contacts themselves here for the blade contacting something will be the same length more or less as the blade. It can be a little bit off, but generally you want this to be the same size. Once you've scaled blade color and the inner blade, then you'll just want to go back and turn off the saber blade and hum. And now we want to make sure that our lightsaber looks good in our hand. So what we're going to do is click on Saber container, and we're going to change holster constraint to 0 for its weight, and we'll change hand constraint to 1 for its weight. And what this does is it moves the location of our lightsaber to our hand constraint right here. And so what you'll want to do with this is you will move it. If you press W, you can get your XYZ movement. And then if you press E, you can again rotate things to fit in your hand how you want it to look. And so you'll just position this to look as natural as you can for your avatar. And once you finish this up here, you will just want to come back to Saber container and put the hand constraint back to 0. Change the holster constraint back to 1. And then you'll also want to turn off the mesh renderer. Okay, so now that we have that turned off, what we can do is we can set up our FX layer. So I'll provide a link for this in the description, as well as there should be a link on the Gumroad page. But you'll want to download Avatar Managers 3. And so you'll click on this up here at VR Labs, and then Avatars 3.0 Manager. Once you click on this, you'll just want to drag and drop your avatar's base from the hierarchy into the manager window here. And it'll pull up your avatar's different layers. You want to go to your FX layer that has all of your different things on your avatar on it already. And you'll want to add animator to merge. And this controller will come up here. Now you can either click this button right here and it'll pull up a list of different FX controllers that you have. Or you can go to the controllers tab here and a folder here and the package. And depending on which controller you need, so I have right hand controllers and left hand controllers. And I have FXs set up for index controllers and Vive controllers, just based on the gesture system themselves. And then I have another bit set up for Quest. Do know that this isn't a Quest compatible lightsaber, but this is for people that might be using Airlink or a cable to hook up to their computer for their Quest. This FX is set up so that you don't have to, it'll just be easier to release the lightsaber and pick it up because it's more friendly, so you don't have to like let go of your controller entirely to pick up and drop them. In my case, I'm using my right hand and I'm on the index, so I'm going to use the right hand lightsaber FX. So I'll just drag this and drop it onto the controller here. And what you'll want to do is merge as new. This will make sure that you keep your original FX untouched, and it'll just toss this onto it. I know this works with my system, so I'm going to merge onto my current. But what you will want to do is click on merge as new. Here, I'll merge as new here, just to give you the example. And what will happen is you'll see nothing happened here. You'll want to go into VR Labs and then generated, and you'll see it has the Basecon Saber FX. And this has our lightsaber stuff in it. And so what we're going to want to do is drag and drop this onto our avatar. And now we have the lightsaber FX in here, combined with everything else we already had on our avatar. What you'll want to do is also make sure that this is in your FX layer and your avatar descriptor. Make sure this is in here as well, because this is what goes in game. And you'll see that everything's here, all of our layers for all of our different animations and such. And our parameters also got placed in here for the lightsaber. This right here will be a little important for our next step. So what we'll do here is we'll click on our avatar base again and the hierarchy, and we'll scroll down and we'll find our parameters list here under expressions. You go to parameters, you just click this and pull up this window, and you'll have the parameters that go in game. What you'll want to do is just select this last one here, click add, and if it's not already a bool, just change it to a bool, and then hit add 4 more times. So you'll have a total of 5 new parameters here. What we're going to do is we're going to grab these synchronized parameters that are going to be networked in game. So you'll just double click this, Control C, and then we'll come over here and we'll Control V. Double click this one, Control C, Control V. And we're just going to Control C and Control V over all of these parameters right here under the synchronized list. So, okay, we have our 5 parameters here. You want to make sure that they're saved and that they're not defaulted to on. And then our last step here is to add in our toggle for the lightsaber in our menu in game. And the way you get to this, if you don't have it next to your parameters list, is you just click on your avatar base again, and under menu, you'll click this. It'll bring you to your menu. And then you can create a folder. If you have a folder for accessories and toys and stuff, then you can put under that. For me, I'm just going to click add control, and I'll type in lightsaber. We're going to change this from a button to a toggle. And then we're going to go to lightsaber down here, and then to net, and then to toggle bool. And this will toggle our lightsaber on and off in game. Now, one last thing as a preface for the elbow constraint for throwing. If your avatar isn't in T pose, but it is in A pose, I've found that you need to zero out the position and also the rotation. If your avatar is in T-pose, then the rotation that I have set up currently should be fine. But I found that people that are in A-pose need to have their rotation zeroed out for it to line up properly. So you'll want to do that if your avatar is in A-pose, not T-pose. If you don't know what A-pose looks like, I'll show you really quick. This is A-pose. So if your avatar is in a pose like this, you'll want to zero out the rotation on the elbow constraint for this. But beyond this, you are set up and you should be good to go. Throwing lightsabers at people and hacking away. Hope you guys enjoy.